Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button down below to become a part of the family. If you are new here, I am a full-time photographer. I am based out of Ohio. My name is Elizabeth. It is nice to meet you. I am mainly a wedding and boudoir photographer, and I absolutely love my job. I have been full-time for a little over a year now, and I feel like I have a lot of tips that I've just gotten throughout this past year while I've been booking weddings and stuff. I go to a lot of wedding consultations with my clients. I always like to sit down and meet my wedding clients in person before I book with them. Just, you know, face-to-face meeting, I think that's good. But a lot of my clients sit down and meet me in person and they don't have questions to ask me. They haven't thought about questions. They don't even know what questions that they should ask. So I have a list of questions that I think are important to ask your photographer when you sit down and meet them for the first time, when you talk to them over the phone, when you email them back and forth, just questions to kind of ask them, to kind of get in your mind to be like, okay, what do I really need to be thinking about for my wedding day? Not necessarily like just, do I like their pictures? So these are in no particular order. They're just questions that like hit my brain and I put them on the paper. So I'm gonna run through them and let you know my thoughts on them. I think the first question you should ask your wedding photographer is, do you carry backup equipment with you? I think this is a better question to ask instead of what kind of camera you use. Asking a photographer what kind of camera that they use, unless you are also a photographer, number one, you don't really know the difference between models or anything, and number two, it's kind of like, it's not the camera you use, it's your perspective and your vision behind everything. It's not just your camera doing all the work, it's the person behind the camera. You can hand the best camera in the whole world to someone who doesn't know how to use it, and it doesn't work. I think this is really important as a wedding photographer. I think you need to carry backup equipment with you. You need to have your multiple batteries ready, charged, multiple memory cards available, multiple camera bodies and different lenses so you can get different perspectives, different angles. I was once shooting a wedding and during speeches, my camera showed up with this message and it was just like error and it wouldn't work. I didn't have a second shooter there. They did not want to add it to their package. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Lucky for me, I had my backup camera. If I wouldn't have had a backup camera, I kind of would have been screwed for the rest of the day and they would have missed out on all of the pictures from their reception. So it is super important to have backup gear with you. Ask them specifically if you are worried, do you carry multiple backup batteries, lenses, cameras, chargers, memory cards, all of that, if you are specifically worried about something like that. Another question to ask is what kind of style they shoot with. Are they more of a candid lifestyle, just capture what happens, or are they more of a pose, let me move you here, let me adjust this, let me try to do this, oh wait a second, I need to fix this kind of person? I am a person who I just want to step back and be like, let me capture the story of your day, exactly how it just happens. I have worked with a lot of photographers who are like, okay, well, I need you to move this way, and then we'll do this, and then, oh, let me go back and change that. They want everything to just be like magazine perfect. I'm not that type of person. If there's something there that I can change, I'll just go do it myself, but I'm not going to delay the whole day by getting like, it kind of sounds bad, but I'm not going to push back the schedule just to make people like move half an inch closer so they look like they're more happy in like the getting ready photos, because those are supposed to be candid in my opinion. At the reception, I just step back and let all those people dancing do their thing. I'm there to capture it. I've worked with other photographers who like walk around the dance floor, they're dancing too, they're pushing people into the circle to get their pictures taken, and I'm like, that is so out of my comfort zone. I would never just push a random person I did not know into the circle to dance so that I could get a picture of them. If you want someone who's going to be doing that, ask them what kind of photographer they are, and you know, maybe that's a person for you. But I am more of like, let me just see the story that happens today. My job is to document that story, not to get in the way of it. Ask them if they shoot RAW or JPEG. That's a good question. Another question to ask is if you get any unedited photos. I put this in here not because you should get unedited photos, but I think you should ask it so that you know you do not, so that you've asked the question and you know that when you get your album back, they're going to be to that photographer's style, not just straight out of the camera. You should ask so that when you go back and ask again, hey, can I have all the raw images? They can be like, no, that's why we talked about that before. And I want to say that it's industry standard not to give back raws, not to give out unedited images. You book a photographer based on their style and the way that they edit their photos in a cohesive gallery. And unedited photos don't really do that photographer justice. That's not their true representation or work of art. I think you should always ask your wedding photographer if you can see a few example wedding galleries in different types of lighting. Every photographer has that like dream wedding that they photograph in their dream venue. Everything was gorgeous and perfect, white walls, lots of natural lighting. And then every photographer has shot their disastrous wedding that everything is dark, there is no light, the whole ceremony is basically in a basement. I'm just pulling random things here. But you have to be able to work in every lighting situation, and I think it's important to ask your photographer to show any different situations that they've been in, to show how they know how to use their camera, use their gear, their knowledge that they've built, and all of that. Ask them how they work in a dimly lit reception hall. Some photographers bring extra lighting stands and equipment to go on the dance floor. If you're not into that, then ask them what else they use. You know, just every photographer is different. I just use an external flash on my camera. I don't bring stands and stuff for the reception. Maybe one day I'll get into that, but as of right now, I really like the style of just the external flash on the camera and how it lights the reception area as people are like out there having fun and dancing and all of that. Another question to ask them is if they back up their images. My camera has a dual card slot. I actually have it right here. Dual card slot, so I can have 2 cards in there if one of them is just overflow for the first one, if it's copying the images onto both cards, whatever it is. Ask them what their backup process is. Ask them if they get home, download them just onto their computer and then delete the whole memory card. Like, that would be crazy, but I guess some people probably do that. Ask them how long they store their images after they've shot the wedding, how long they have them backed up on their external hard drive, and all of that. Can I hire a second shooter? If your photographer does not already have a second shooter included in your package that you're interested in, ask if you can add another perspective onto the day. You know, it's going to be an extra charge, but sometimes it's nice to have that extra person step in for a few hours and capture the guys getting ready while your photographer's working with the bride, or, you know, different angles during the ceremony or whatever. It's nice to have them there. Ask if that's an option for them. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but I guess some people wouldn't want another shooter there. What would you describe your style as? Every photographer has a different style. You know, I say mine is natural and candid. I edit vibrant but moody. It's kind of high contrast and true to life colors. It's definitely not bright and airy. It is definitely not what's in right now. It's more traditional, but I love it. Ask them if they have a contract. For some reason, contracts scare people, but they're so important to have for your wedding day. That is, you know, reassurance that you're gonna have your wedding day and you're not gonna cancel your wedding on your photographer without telling them after they've rented equipment and all this, and they're gonna show up because, you know, you paid them to. You have this contract. It's to protect both parties. It's not just for the photographer. A good question to ask is how many weddings have they shot? I worked as a wedding coordinator for about a year, so I worked a lot of weddings, but I was not a wedding photographer then. I think it's good to ask them how many weddings they've worked as a solo shooter, how long they've been doing this, and I would ask if they have any example gallery similar to your specific wedding day. So similar to, you know, if you're getting ready at your house, someone getting ready at their house, someone whose wedding was at the same venue or who had the same colors, or like anything similar that you can see kind of like, oh, that's how my photos are gonna look, you know? I think a great question to ask is how many other weddings or events that they will photograph the weekend of your wedding. I think the people who are booking weddings, you know, Friday night and Saturday night and then wake up and have a baptism on Sunday or whatever, I think that your attention to detail might go down. I think that your motivation to edit all the pictures is going to go down. If you have back-to-back weekends with multiple weddings and them constantly, like, that is great for you as a photographer that your business is taking off. But as a client, that kind of would worry me that my wedding is not going to be as carefully gone over or edited, or the motivation to be there in the moment and enthusiasm to shoot the day and all of that. I limit the number of weddings that I take a year because I want each couple to feel like they're truly valued and they're getting my fullest attention to detail on everything from the pre-wedding consultation, showing up on the whole day and being there in the moment with them, celebrating with them, editing their gallery, and getting it back to them. Ask them how long their turnaround time is, so you're not messaging them the next day and being like, hey, I want my gallery. Ask them how long it takes. Standard is like anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks, I believe. If you order galleries, it takes a little bit longer. Ask what their delivery method is, if it's an online gallery, if it's a USB drive. I guess people could still use CDs. I don't know why they would. If you get an album with it, if it doesn't come with any prints, if it does come with print, ask all those details. Ask them how much editing they typically do with the images. The only editing I typically do is changing the color and contrast and stuff, and then softening skin, brightening eyes, little stuff like that. When people come and ask to Photoshop them smaller is like the thing that people usually say. I don't do that. If you want someone to do that for you, I'm not your photographer. I'm sure there's someone out there who will. It is not me though. Ask them that if your event lasts longer, are they going to stay? Will there be an upcharge? What is that upcharge? What do you need to know just in case your reception was scheduled to end at a certain time and they're scheduled to leave at a certain time, but you've been running behind and you still haven't cut your cake or tossed your bouquet or whatever. Ask them what that procedure is for when you get into that moment. You kind of know okay, I know that if I really want my bouquet toss to be captured, it's going to be X amount of dollars. While you're looking through your wedding photographer's package options, you can always ask what package is standard for most people to get. Kind of to give you an idea, you can ask if you can customize a package. That kind of helps to make you see if you do want this part of it, but you don't want that part. If you can cut out your engagement session and, do this instead or whatever. Just ask them if it's customizable, if those package options don't really work for you. Ask them if they have a travel fee. Ask them when their first deposit and final payment are due. And if you're struggling with those dates, ask if they have a payment plan that you can go on. My last question is asking them if you can give them a shot list. A lot of people are worried that they won't get the pictures they want, but they never tell their photographer that they want those photos. So asking if they would be okay if hey, if I write out a shot list, can you try to capture these images that I want? Yes, absolutely we can. For your family photo shot list, instead of saying me and my aunt and my cousin and my other cousin. I don't know who any of these people are, but if you give me a list that says me and Jim and Nancy and Tom and Rebecca, I can stand there and get your list out for family photos and be like, okay, we need Rebecca and Jim and Tom over here, and they're gonna jump in this next shot, and then we're gonna take Rebecca out and it's just gonna be the 3 of them, or whatever. That helps a lot if you can write names on your shot list. And if you, oh my gosh, biggest tip of the day, just not even to ask your photographer, but during family photos, please let your family members know. If you want them in family photos, please let them know before that day so they know to stick around. They know that they shouldn't just hop up out of their seat and run to the reception. Let them know so they're not standing there awkwardly I feel like I'm close enough in the family to get a family photo with them, but at the same time, no one told me. I don't know. Should I stay? Should I leave? That's awkward. Just let them know. Let them know first so you don't have to worry about that. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this kind of helped you for your booking your photographer process. If you're a photographer and watching this, these are good questions to think about before you sit down in your meeting. When I meet with brides and grooms who have no idea what to ask me, I just kind of start spitting out answers at them because not a lot of people think to ask about, in that moment when they're excited about booking you, they don't think to ask oh, how many weddings have you worked? You should just start out and be like, hey, I'm Elizabeth, I'm the face behind the camera here. I can show you all of these example galleries. This one kind of looks similar to your venue, or I've shot here before. Here's some examples of this. I've worked, this many weddings over the past 12 months, and, you can just start giving them answers to the questions they don't know that they have yet, you know? But that is pretty much it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!